Hello and welcome to this video in the How to Coach series. I'm Jan Bo Nielsen from Quiver Management, and today I'm going to talk about the difference between various helping disciplines around the sort of coaching space. So I'm going to talk about the therapist, the counselor, the coach, the mentor, the trainer, and the consultant, and the differences between them, different sort of background, focus, what are they bringing to the table. And the reason for this is that often when we do the coaching and mentoring training, we talk about the where the coach and mentor space is and how they have to be careful, even when they train coaches, not to stray into some of the other ones, or if they have some some expertise, they maybe go into that, but they need to be very clear then that if they have the expertise, they're qualified to do it, that they're now in a new space, they're no longer coaching and mentoring, and what the impact is to that, and also the contractual arrangement. So that's the sort of thing we coach on the qualification courses and when you go deeper with the coaching training that we do. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences between those. And let me start over in the therapy side. When we talk about therapists, they will tend to deal with people who have sort of a deep emotional baggage, and they are looking almost like a engineer of the brain, as sometimes call it, the root of that whatever sort of dysfunction issues individual have that might be unconscious, and they sort of want to bring it into a level of consciousness, either as part of the helping process or for the psychologist to recognize what is it that I need to deal with here. So they're looking typically in the time frame into the deep past of the individual and psychological impact of past relationships and traumatic events, and letting go of some of these if they're getting in the way. And they will be regarded as a professional third party doing this. This is something you need to be qualified to do, trained to do, and you certainly shouldn't go into that space unless you are really well qualified. You never know what you can bring up that you're actually not able to help the individual with. So, what are some of the key tools they use? Psychoanalysis, diagnosis, conversation, healing, and they tend to work in the private space rather than the organizational space. That's a little caveat in that, of course, you have organizational psychologists, and they will tend to often focus around sort of the assessment area. So, people's ability and whether they're suitable for very different roles in the organization. Then move on to counseling. So this is again the emotional one-to-one, typically in private context. Of course, that doesn't mean that somebody in the workplace doesn't need any of either the therapist and the counseling interventions, but these individuals will tend to work almost outside of the organizational context and more on the one-to-one individual basis. And they will work on sort of both the past and the present, a lot around the client's feelings, emotions, self-limiting beliefs, issues that's getting in the way of them operating effectively, maybe in work or at home. And that's a lot about new insights, helping them gain new insight as a client. And that's really the key tools. That's a listening, facilitating, reframing is a tool some of them use regularly. So that's sort of the two was that in our diagram is on the left-hand side. Then we come on to the coaching and mentoring. So coaching is really about performance improvement, and it's very much in a center, sort of really people centered, the same as the others, the previous two was, but it's really about self-empowered development and results. So it's not the coach's job to make them. It's not the coach's job to have solutions or find solutions for them. The coach is there to help raise self-awareness, options, it's through learning and growth and help build that resourcefulness of the individual. But it is really through the individual finding their own answers to their issues. And they will tend to focus on the short to medium term future, sort of in their current role typically. And what tools will they use? Well, listening and questioning, just like you will have the counselor. A lot about challenging, being a bit action orientated, and helping the individual actually get to some outcome that they can take away and take actions on. So it's very much about that development support along a journey like that. And mentoring is actually quite similar to coaching, really similar, in fact, actually quite often is in the career, personal transition space, again in an organizational context typically. And it's a sort of supported journey to a new aspired state, like a career step, or being able to do things they weren't doing before, become a better business owner, manager. And they tend often to be quite long-term relationships compared to a coach. But what's the difference then between coaching and mentoring, particularly since I actually use very much the same tool set, listening and questioning and creativity, building rapport, they're the same as a coach. No, the main one difference for the mentor is that they bring experience, and there's some expectations that they will share that experience during the journey and the interaction with the mentees. But that doesn't mean that the mentor tells the person they're working with, the client, how to do it or what to do. They merely will share some experience, background, perspective on things to help the mentee find their own solutions in the same way that a coach intends to do it. Then we move on to training and actually the consulting side. Both of them are sort of relying quite a bit on expertise. The teacher or the trainer is really about imparting knowledge, skills, and sort of building, sort of developing skills around gaps you may have in your knowledge and skills. And that's typically sort of done in a from the trainer to the individual. They are given some tools, some knowledge, and an individual that they're working with, or individuals, this can often be in a group setting, will go away and apply these themselves back in their home environment, their work environment. But it's very much a sort of one-directional approach generally. That doesn't mean that a trainer couldn't then use coaching afterwards to support them on a journey of adapting those skills. But on the whole, it's sort of a intervention that is typically a one-off in that situation, one skill set, and then the individual goes away and applies it. So it's about teaching and instructing others. And then we have the consultant. That's quite often in the organizational context, certainly about changes, issues, the system that they're working within, finding new structures, processes, and looking for things or being asked, of course, to come and fix things, improve things. So that's really about organizational improvements, whereas the trainer is more about new knowledge and competencies. And that's all about analysis and diagnosis and problem solving and change management is often the space they're in. So that's sort of a quick rundown in the differences between six actually different disciplines. I hope you found that helpful. And if you have any comments or questions, put them down in the comment boxes below. But please click on the link if you like it, and subscribe if you want to continue to hear from us.